What's up, everybody? Let's do this. I'm comedian Bob Smiley. I'm a comedian. Wasn't always a comedian. I actually was a stay-at-home dad for a while, but then we had kids and had to get out of there. But I was very honored when JUCE asked me to be a part of their program. I was very excited, actually, because at the time I didn't know what the term pro bono meant. But then they started telling me like they wanted me to do some comedy. And I was like, how do you do that without an audience? You know, like what if it's not funny? And then I saw my friend comedian Leland, he did the show, and then I was like, oh, it doesn't have to be funny. So, I really hope Leland's watching. I'm just kidding, man. I love you. You're really good. But I know in the whole pandemic and the quarantine and stuff that times can be scary, a little bit crazy. I want you guys to look at the positive. There's a lot of positives. I'll tell you one that we just realized. My neighbor is a vegan. I think California mailed her to us. And you probably don't even know where I live. I live in northern Mexico, a place called Houston, Texas. But we've got this neighbor that's she's a vegan and she sells essential oils. So yes, I have filled out a restraining order. But my boys and I have 5 boys, we're always playing outside. And she used to pitch her vials to us all the time, the vials of essential oils. We'd be playing basketball and Mason would scrape his knee and she would float out of the air. It was almost like a leaf that a tree had cast off. And seriously, like she's a vegan, so she weighs like 83 pounds. So she just kind of floats through the air. We've actually thought about we could get rid of her seriously by using a leaf blower. But she would come in and she'd be like, oh, you got a scraped knee? We'll rub some cat oil infused with baby oil and a hint of soy sauce on it or whatever. Like, I'll give you another example. If you listen to our podcast, my wife and I do a podcast called Hook, Line, and Smiley. And we talked about this a couple weeks ago because my 17-year-old son got bit by a nutria rat, which is about a 15-pound rat. And it wasn't his fault because all he was trying to do was catch it. But he got bit and we got home and he was bleeding. She came out of nowhere and was like, oh, does he have a cut? I have a salve. She had a salve mixed with like, I don't know, poinsettia root. She was like, you know, all you have to do is put a little under his tongue and rub a little bit on the toe that liked roast beef and boom, he'll heal 30 minutes faster. And so she's always giving us like this advice. Here's the positive. We haven't seen her. She will not come out of the house. So I guess essential oils doesn't solve everything. But if you take time to look at some of the positives, there are. I do have an encouraging story for you. But before I get to that, they do want me to do some jokes. So I thought I'd do some. Here we go. Here's a good one. Last summer, my kids and I learned the hard way that you cannot take a fishing pole to SeaWorld. When I was single, it was always super awkward going to Starbucks and ordering a tall blonde. If I ever get rich, which, who am I kidding? I'm a Christian comedian. I'm never going to be rich. But if I ever did get rich, I want to buy a dermatology building just so I can put the game in the lobby. Whack-a-mole. What's my least favorite holiday? No Shave November. Because, man, my legs get itchy. If you put a squirrel's head in the toilet, would that be a squirrely swirly? I wonder if Miss Piggy gets a lot of spam mail. I don't get hip-hop lyrics at all. I put out a ton of milkshakes and nobody came to my yard. Here's a true one. It has to do with homeschooling. My kid needed a definition of a mixed blessing and all I could think of was getting a kidney transplant from a bedwetter. All right, one more. And if you're a kid watching this, you're not going to appreciate it, but I think it's hilarious that my 17-year-old son does not know I still have a baby monitor hidden in his room. Okay, so I do have a story to encourage you guys, though, because I know, like, if you read the news or keep up, it can be kind of scary, but this happened years ago, but I think if we can realize how much God loves us, it'll set us free to go love on other people. And my oldest son, when he was in junior high, he came to me and he was like, Dad, I want to play in the band. And I was like, that's a great goal. We're going to make that happen. Nobody's going to stop you. And he's like, I want to play the trombone. And I was like, hang on, let's re-examine this whole idea. I didn't want to stop him, but I wanted him to learn the guitar because you use the guitar later in life. I mean, you know, anybody ever been sitting around a campfire just being like, so peaceful. Hey, did you bring your trombone? You know, you know. So I want him to learn the guitar. Like, okay, here's another example. You can play your guitar until your kid falls asleep in the crib. right? How messed up is my grandson gonna be if my son's standing over the crib going, hey, little buddy. But he wanted one. He wanted a trombone so bad, so I bought him one. He went to school for 2 weeks and he learned we'll call it a song. It wasn't a song. If that was a song, that song should have been called like Who Punched the Moose in the Bladder. Even our dog was like, dude, you put me outside when I make noise like that. But my son was sitting there playing a song for me, and this is why I'm sharing the story. It was not good. Later I found out it was the theme music to Jaws, which I was like, well, that was scarier than the movie. But I didn't even say that because he was sitting there trying to play a song for me. And that's where I got a glimpse of how God must look at us every single day. Even if we make mistakes, trying to play the perfect song, and we're going to make mistakes, our perfect Father's never going to stop loving us. I was sitting there listening to this song thinking, oh, I love it because my son's playing a song for me. So if you realize how much God loves you, that unconditional love, it should set us free to go out and love on everybody else. So that is my encouragement. I hope you got a couple of laughs out of this, but more importantly, I hope you realize that the world is on hold and we have an opportunity to go out and love on other people.